volume a touch?
I am recording, and I am okay.
I am
I am recording pre-roll. Now I'm
recording as
recording.
well. And let me make sure we're live, and then I'll hit the intro. We're not live yet, I don't think. Did I do something wrong? There we go. Hello, everyone. I don't know where we're live at. We're live on YouTube. Hello. Hope you all are doing well. TikTok is thinking about it. There we go. All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, viewers, good to have you back with us. Gentlemen, Josh, Johnny, good to be back with you as well. Josh, what's going on, man?
Doing all right. It is really good. I know we talked about this last week. It's really good to not have to stress about the NBA finals, and I can instead only stress about the NHL finals.
Yes.
Doing great, having a good time, which is bad because it doesn't look like there's a chance we don't get to a game 7 in this current series, and I'm a little worried about that because, as we know and have established, Stars need game 7s. So,
right.
I hate to say that it needs a game 7 because currently they're doing okay,
Yeah,
but
they are.
also I'm a little stitious. So, but now it's nice to have one team that seems to be. And add more Nox editing, Aaron, please. On wood, preferably.
I'll add like punching
Seems to
sound
be
effects.
The least poorly. I'll put it at this to hopefully avoid the jinxes. Seems like they're the least poorly run franchise in Dallas at the current time, which is not a high bar, and they might actually be better than poorly run. However, I'm scared, so I will not call them good officially until we have that cup.
Fair enough. Johnny, I'm going to just go ahead.
Horrible.
Yep, there it is.
There it is. Hey! All the box score viewers are going to see that they only lost by like 20, so
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec.
it's fine.
Yeah. We will talk about that in a sec. I'm doing all right. My team lost 2 weeks ago, so I've had that time to, kind of recover and not be super upset. Good week overall. Like, just again, I'm kind of neutral fan, just sitting back and watching all of these NBA, NFL playoff series. Did I say NFL? I'm stupid. NHL, whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's one letter away,
Yeah,
basically.
the NFL's playing.
It's like the NFL of, if this helps you, the NHL is like the NFL, but for hockey.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's what a good analogy, Josh.
If that's a good mnemonic device for you, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. That's good. I'm just rooting for everything to go to game 7 because for most of these series, I don't really care who wins. I mean, I do want the Cavs to win. Johnny, we got to watch game 3 a couple nights ago, and I thought after that game, I'm like, okay, great. The Cavs are good.
Yep.
They've got their players back. Like, they took care of business. Indiana mounted a couple comeback attempts in that game, and largely the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't let that happen. And then I don't know what I saw in game 4, which we can honestly get into because really I don't have much to add about my week specifically, other than it's just been mostly consumed with reading Johnny's tweets. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure it was a good live tweet read.
Oh, it was.
Generational live tweeting right there.
An
I'm
embarrassment.
like, oh, he's going through something.
Like you can't start with any other word but an embarrassment, a total embarrassment. Like, we've talked about the comebacks and blown leads of the Celtics or even the Cavs in game 2. And while that's infuriating, frustrating, that should never happen, especially how it happened for both teams, it wasn't this. And you did have 20-point leads in those games. So there's a lot of good to take from those games. Like, hey, we played really, really well for 3 quarters, and then we just sucked at the end, and we blew it, and we didn't do a good job of closing it out. There was nothing good to take away from this game. Normally you say burn the tape, and you'd love to, and you probably still should, but I have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
There was no sense of urgency. There was no energy. They looked like they were the same age as the Milwaukee Bucks out there. Like, and this is not an old team. They're all in their mid-20s. There's absolutely no excuse for any of them to be tired whatsoever. I know Garland's dealing with the toe injury. That resulted in a few early turnovers. Okay, whatever. I know the Pacers get under your skin. I know specifically Mathurin has been getting under Hunter and other players' skins the whole series so far. He got ejected, and ejected fairly early in the game. So their main antagonizer was also kicked out of the game. So I understand that it's felt like the officials have not been refereeing the same physicality at the same level for both teams. But that was totally embarrassing for every single Cavs fan to see the lack of, honestly, effort it looked like. I mean, it's the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
You've gone through the whole regular season, a wonderful regular season, but you also load managed through the regular season. You kept the minutes down on Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell for this playoff run. So while I understand injuries aren't fully under your control, your effort obviously is. And it's like if this Cavs team's not hitting shots from the outside specifically, they give up. They just give up. I don't know where Jared Allen was in that game. He certainly wasn't under the hoop boxing out, because Miles Turner was just absolutely dogging them on the boards. It was ridiculous. They couldn't box out worth a crap. It was awful. It was embarrassing. And they're done. They're done. They're not winning 3 games in a row in this. The Pacers do deserve a lot of credit.
You're going to Johnny guarantee that?
Talk a little bit about that later. But the Cavs aren't coming back. That team that played that game, no way. This isn't just them losing. This is them not trying. And that is horrible. There's no worse indictment of a team than that. And they're proving everything that everybody said the last 3 years correct about this team. They are soft. And not just physically. They are mentally soft. They do not have the right mentality. And I thought it was a Bickerstaff issue. It's not. It's not on the coaching staff. Did they get out coached? Yeah. But your coaches can only do so much to motivate you. You need to have an internal motor. And these guys don't. They don't have the dog in them, other than Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to this. Honestly, I'm saying this about pretty much everyone except Max Strus and Donovan Mitchell. They don't have it. And when things get bad, they quit. And it's hard to even cheer for your own team in those situations. So anyway, rant over. Your guys' thoughts as more third party people.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the effort issues in game 4, what my thoughts, if let's say the Cavs lose a close game, but they're not down 41 at halftime, and Donovan Mitchell does actually play in a meaningful second half, my thought would be, wow, I am watching the Detroit Lions, because amazing regular season, just crippling injuries throughout. Not that the Cavs necessarily had that in the regular season, but you get to this series where you're down 3 starters. That's kind of the same as being down, the 20 players the Lions were down in the postseason after getting the 1 seed. That to me is wow, I deja vu. I have seen this before. And you get a kind of young, plucky team in the Commanders, or in this case, the Indiana Pacers. I also say that as if the Pacers did not make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, which they did. So that's part of the equation too. You're just playing it against a good quality team that has depth and has a lot of players that are really just unselfish. So Halliburton's one of those players. You can say, well, he hasn't played very well the last 2 games. You'd be correct. Yet the Pacers still lead 3-1. So he's he's not asked to do right now what Donovan Mitchell is being asked to do, which is an absurd statement to say at this point in the season compared to what we saw in the regular season, where it was Mitchell who took a step back. His stats went down because he was willing to distribute more. He was willing to take that minutes restriction. And now he's putting up 40 points a game, and it's not enough, which is crazy. I'm not going to completely rule them out, Johnny. I understand why, from your perspective, you are. I'm not completely ruling them out because the team I saw in Game 3, with them being actually healthy, that was the Cavs team I had watched all season long. Now, Game 4, I don't know who that was. I don't know if they dressed up the Washington Wizards in Cavs uniforms. I don't know what happened. But
yeah,
I can tell you this. I don't think we see one of those kind of games again. The rest of the playoffs. Now, obviously, it can't happen because then you're done.
Should never happen.
It should never happen.
It should never happen, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's the quitting. It's not the losing. I wouldn't be so like at their throats right now if they had just, you know what, you lose by 20 and everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like, let's be honest about this. The Pacers have shot they shot again like 60% from 3 last night. It is absurd, the clip that they're shooting from 3 in this series. Like, it is absolutely absurd. But part of that is Jared Allen still doesn't think that Miles Turner is going to take threes. My friend, you played them 4 times in the regular season. This is now game 4. You know he's taking and making these threes. Close out. It's this inability to adjust, unwillingness to adjust for these players. It's absolutely maddening. Their defense has just been terrible in this series. Like, the Pacers are hitting shots, so credit to them, and the Cavs can't hit anything, even when they are open.
Right.
Like, because they are, and they can't hit a darn thing. And the role players are just being fantastic. Meanwhile, like, other than Max Strus, the role players have been terrible for the Cavs. Like, Ty Jerome is, like, I think minus 40 when he's on the court. And he was, like, a legitimate 6th Man of the Year award finalist, like, this regular season. So, yeah. And now we, like, Donovan Mitchell's even a game time decision for game 5.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know what that crowd's even going to be like. Like, I feel like that crowd is going to be like, if you don't start off well, they're going to be antagonistic almost towards their own home team as well. So, because that's Ohio fans for you. Like, that's just how we are.
Yep.
So, I mean, credit to the Pacers, what you said, like Nembhard and Naismith, like, those guys have been ridiculous. But they'll even bring, like, Shepherd off the bench and he'll hit his first 3 of the game. I mean, it's just been ridiculous what they've been able to do and manipulate, and the speed. The Cavs have never been able to slow the game down. So it's my worst fears realized. I didn't want them playing the Pacers in the second round. I was hoping they'd get the Knicks instead. But who knows? That might not have gone any better because the Knicks are extremely physical. While they're not the shot makers, the Cavs they're soft, man. And if they lose, that's the number one thing I would say that they need to do in the offseason is Allen needs to be on the trade block, and we need a more physical inside presence, because that's not Evan Mobley. Like, he's a great defender, but he's not, like, every team needs a borderline dirty player on the team. Borderline. And Mathurin is that for the Pacers. It's obviously like Draymond Green for the Warriors or Dylan Brooks for the Rockets. Like, but you kind of need that guy who plays right on the edge, that when the other team's being too physical, he's going to set the tone. Cavs have no one like that. Donovan's been getting knocked to the floor every time he goes to the hoop, and no one's retaliated whatsoever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's enough of that series.
Yeah, we can if there's something to talk about next week, we will talk about it. That remains to be seen. There's a whole lot of work that needs to be done for that to happen. So instead, us Ohio sports fans, we can yell about something else, because our good friends, good friends at Fox have announced a couple of game times, one being the Ohio State-Michigan game, which is at noon per usual. And to that we say, excellent. Good job.
Yes.
Well, guess what else is going to be at noon? Perhaps to no one's surprise, it is now official. The Ohio State Texas season opener is big noon kickoff. And to that we say, boo. Because
Yeah.
this is
Not surprised.
no, I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
but
Boo.
it's still stupid. I mean, this is the
issue,
game.
like, there's two competing things here. One, and I've seen more reports about this. Ohio State's night atmosphere compared to the other blue blood franchises that we see is lacking. I think the last time some major updates were done, we're coming up on a decade. So I understand there was just an internal meeting with the AD and a few other people a few days ago, actually, where this was discussed, where the night atmosphere is lacking at Ohio Stadium. And that's true. And it should be irrelevant because guess what? We had a night game, much to Fox's chagrin, apparently, when we hosted Tennessee.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Western Michigan, Josh. Don't forget about our game against Western Michigan. That was a night game.
Dare I? How could I? And the issue is, it seems like Ohio State is beholden to the distribution companies' rights agreements and not able to do the games it wants to do. To a degree, going back to my first point, I understand why Ohio State hasn't invested, because they know however long this contract is, if Fox is just going to pull on them for every big noon game, why would I invest, a few $100 million or $1 billion, whatever it costs now for lights and AV, if I know I'm never going to use them because Fox is always going to pull their Ohio State card? And I don't know what type of negotiating power Ohio State has in this. I'm assuming very little.
Josh, whose fault is this deal? Whose fault? Our friend.
Mark
Our
Emmett,
dear friend.
Oh.
Him too.
He left for the Chicago Bears.
Caleb Williams.
Our dear old commissioner.
Is this Gee?
No, Kevin Warren.
Yeah.
Our dear old
the other one.
commissioner, who everybody said it was so great. Look at how much money we got. And he put in no caveats whatsoever. So you're absolutely right. This is not really Ohio State's fault, as it's not it's not Penn State's fault that they have to have their whiteout game against Washington last year. When I first saw that, I'm like, what's Penn State doing? Ohio State's coming to town this year. It's not their fault. Fox made the game at noon. And when guys like Joel Klatt are like, well, you can still do your whiteout at noon. That's not the same thing.
Turns out, no, you can't.
You could all wear white. That's not the same thing.
I mean, I can wear a white
They've tried it. It doesn't really work. It's not the same thing.
It's the atmosphere.
Night atmospheres do matter.
You can do that cool
the Tennessee
hockey
game
top thing at noon, right? You can't. You can, but it's not going to do. Yeah. Turns out darkness helps
SEC teams, everyone would agree. Everybody would agree with this. This is not a Midwest take.
For once
this
we agree,
all across the board college football. And listen, I get it. We love the Ohio State Michigan game. It's at noon every year. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. There's something about Red River that being played at that noon-ish time slot. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. When it's historically there,
back a year. Yeah, there's some traditions that are okay.
That's great. I love that. But when it's a one-off like this one, or a home and home, it's ridiculous. I know some people who usher at Ohio State, and they said that Tennessee game in the playoff last year, given it's a playoff game, was one of the best atmospheres they've ever seen at Ohio State.
And
one of the best ones.
And because of the nature of where we were emotionally as fans with Ohio State at that time, I would say it was a greater atmosphere despite.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
The attitudes. If we were going in having gone, let's say, I don't know, we dropped Penn State or something, and that was it. That was our only loss. And so we're still going in the same type of position. You're not going to have as frustrated a fan base as you did dropping Michigan the week before. Like, that was a fantastic atmosphere, and there are some stats guys out there talking about how home field advantage is a lie, and nerds, shut up. I don't care. I'm always going to believe that having a home atmosphere like that is going to play a little bit,
Absolutely.
maybe so subtle you can't, maybe inobservably, but tangibly, it's going to play into whether or not you're able to convert a victory. And not that Ohio State
Josh,
won't be
you
able to do
sound
this
like a
against Texas.
momentum believer.
Ooh, Josh, you
it's
believe in
almost-
momentum?
Gross.
It's almost as if you can. I think that maybe a team can get on kind of a run when you have a home field. Oh, sorry, Aaron, I clipped my mic. Yeah, that's how important it is. I'm gonna send Aaron a bad audio file because of how true the statement I just said was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Josh, you're totally right. I think my thing is here, though, like, I also, like, understand why Fox does it, which is why I go back to being just so annoyed with Kevin Warren signing this deal and then everybody acting like it was the greatest thing ever. Any commissioner at the time, whoever was in the office, would have gotten this deal. And the fact that he got all the details horribly wrong is infuriating. Like, simple solutions. Like, number of times in a season a team can be big nooned. Like, what is Ohio State and Michigan both been like last year it was like 5 apiece. It was ridiculous.
I've got the number for Ohio State. So since Big Noon Kickoff was a thing, Ohio State has been Big Noon Kickoff 23 times, and that's the most out of any other team by 6 games. The most any other team has been, which it probably is Michigan or Penn State. I'll see if I can find that, but it's by 6 games.
Right.
That's brutal.
It's brutal. Like, that is idiotic to not at least cap it. And maybe that doesn't salvage Texas, Ohio State, but it allows Ohio State to have a Michigan or a Wisconsin, or like at least, or maybe the Illinois game later in the year. Like, if Illinois lives up to expectations this season.
Yep.
Like, it at least saves something for the Buckeyes to have a night game and not just the random Peacock game at night. Right. Like, they actually get to have a legitimate night game, not Western Michigan, not the random conference game NBC gets. Like, a legitimate, decent matchup at night. And it screws Ohio State disproportionately to anyone else. But I understand, like, Penn State's with us on this too. Like, we're riding together when it comes to this, because I know they've been ticked off on it because, like, and not giving Penn State like even just a, hey, you can pick your night game and then we can big noon you whenever we want after that. Like, just little caveats like that would have gone just so far with the frustration of these athletic departments.
And there, your problem, Johnny, is that the people in charge of college football don't care about college football.
No,
they just want to make money. And I get it. That's their job. We've said that. I will say for Fox, I do have, like, I'm frustrated with the whole big noon thing. And now I know there may be some of you out there that are like, well, I love a good noon game. I agree. But the game of the week at noon, unless it's already
the marquee game,
like Ohio State, Texas, like, that's the game that everyone's got circled now. In the middle of May.
This would have been a potential championship matchup.
Sure.
Regardless, it's still a top 5 matchup.
Like, were we frustrated when Ohio State, Indiana was at noon last year? No, we didn't expect Indiana to be as good as they were. The only way we were frustrated at all was we're like, noon again for a big matchup. It was more the
fact that was like,
yes,
come on.
It wasn't because of, like, that game being at noon is fine in the grand scheme of things because it's a surprise. But what you're saying, Aaron and Josh, is absolutely right. We know this is a huge matchup. It's week 1. It's the best game of the week.
Yep.
Which week 1, by the way, is phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
For college football. But it's still the best game of the week. And we know, like, so it needs to be it needs to be at night. So it's terrible. People are going to lose it when they find out.
Right.
Because not
Well, here's the
everybody's
thing,
finding
it's
out right
big
now. They're going to
noon,
find out the
and it's
week
big
of and
noon
be mad.
yeah, it's big noon for the East Coast.
Yeah.
Even me on Central Time here, I'm not necessarily endorsing everyone go to a bar and get hammered and watch a game, but for that crowd,
Sure.
not as many people are going to be
Yeah.
going over to a sports bar at 11 a.m. That's for when you're watching, like, I don't know, Tottenham or something. Like,
And nobody's doing that this year.
You watch, yeah, or I guess, I don't know, Man U, Arsenal, whatever.
No, not
Like-
Man U either. It's great. They're the bottom two teams in
Ooh.
the league that
Amen.
aren't getting relegated. It's
I
awesome.
guess. Go watch your Premier League game at
Sorry,
a bar
I
at
just had
10:30
to.
a.m. You don't watch Ohio State, Texas at 11 a.m. with your buddies.
Gross.
It doesn't work. And then let's think about, like, especially now that the Big Ten is cross coast with the rest of the divisions, but like even then, you're looking at, what is that, a 9 a.m. start time for
Mhm.
LA, San. I mean, the other, I guess now Big Ten crew. And so I saw on Twitter here, Big Ten Huddle had sent a prediction of what they thought the big noon games were going to be. They put it out last week, and a few of them are Oregon games, which means it's a 9 a.m.
But
kickoff
Oregon's not
just to
at
wake
home,
up.
right?
Let
Oregon's
me
not
see
at
what their.
home.
Let
I
me see what
doubt
their.
Oregon's at home.
Let me see what their prediction was.
Because
no,
they're
it was
not
Penn-
going
it
to
was
have a
Penn
9
State.
a.m. Yeah,
It
they're
was
not going
Penn
to have the 9
State's.
a.m. kickoff. But you're right. Like, Josh, that's also a good
One of
point.
them's Colorado.
Like, they're not going to have
Yeah.
like Oregon and USC play big noon games at home. So that also, like, we've already talked about it being disproportionately Ohio State. It's going to continue being disproportionately Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, because you can't have your powers on the West Coast have home games at 9 a.m. They're not going to do it.
No.
Like, they're not going to do that for the big game of the week.
no.
So, like, that also
as it
hurts.
stands, Big Ten Huddle is still predicting Ohio State to get 5 big noon games.
Oh,
3 of them at home. They're
Gosh.
predicting. So they're predicting Texas
State.
week 1. They're predicting Penn State, and then they're predicting UCLA week 12.
Okay. Again, the UCLA one doesn't bother you.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah,
That's fine.
nobody cares. But then the other 2, they're predicting that Illinois will get the Ohio State matchup week 7.
Yep.
And then obviously it goes without saying, there's always the guaranteed Michigan game.
Yeah,
So
right.
let's just say 4. They're going to get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm seeing, at least
We're
in
asking.
Big Ten Huddle's predictions.
I think
And we're asking for
crazy
just
thing
one
is
less.
We're asking for very little here. We're basically saying, could you give us Texas or Penn State at night? Just
Yes.
one.
One.
Like, just give us one of them at night. Because if you
Yeah.
said, "Hey, OSU, Texas, you're going to be at noon," but you also said, "But we won't make the Penn State game at noon," I
Right,
think
that's
we'd
the
all
thing.
back off and be like,
Yeah,
"All
we
right,
go,
that's
okay."
fine."
Because here's the thing.
Do what you
Everything
have
we've
to.
said, everything we've talked about with Ohio State being a marquee team, being one of the few truly said, like, college sports franchise, one of the few teams that actually makes money at the end of the year from their sports teams. Like, everything we're saying is exactly what a Fox exec is going, yeah, that's exactly why we're throwing them at noon.
Exactly.
And so, like, you can't have, this isn't 1943. This isn't like your pure unadulterated, trad football. This is a business, and we've talked about that. We understand it. Most of us have business degrees on this podcast. But the idea of we are exclusively, as a fan base, to serve the needs of a bunch of suits doesn't rest well, especially when it's not even largely the conference itself pulling these rules. This is even a separate thing from, like, the Big Ten expansion we were talking about last year. Give us at least one. No, again, what I just said was Big Ten Huddle's predictions. They don't release the full
Yeah,
schedules
but
of these
that's
things quite
pretty
yet. But it's a
consistent.
pretty educated. It
Yeah.
is consistent with how they operated last year, which was giving us the majority of them.
Yeah. And just a reminder, Big Ten media rights deal is through 2030. So this is not going away.
Yeah, this is at
soon.
least
Yep.
yeah, and to be fair, this is also something that's affecting other teams because again, this according to this prediction chart, looks like not to the same caliber, but they're predicting Penn State to get the big noon game when they host Indiana for week 11. And so if that means Penn State's doing back-to-back big noon games against I don't know how Indiana's looking this year, but against two pretty fun to watch teams. So we're not the only ones complaining about this. Michigan, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're predicting 5 for Michigan as well. At Nebraska, hosting Wisconsin, at Michigan State, but then obviously hosting Ohio State.
Josh, that's a good segue because another.
Oh, speaking of which, that's assuming they can play any games this year.
Yeah. So look, let's just set the record on kind of where we've been in terms of our thoughts. We kind of all agreed that we didn't think anything would really happen. Well, I think we all agreed. Correct me if you guys feel differently.
Pretty much.
I feel like we all agreed that we did not think anything was going to happen to Michigan. The primary reason being, does the NCAA have any power? More often than not,
Right.
and increasingly, the answer is a big fat no. They lose every lawsuit. They just stink. They are in the most inner parts of our jail that we have so creatively fashioned. So that's where we were. But I think as we get more into this and as the NCAA is starting to wrap up their reporting, their investigation, whatever you want to call it, it's interesting. I'll put it this way. For a team that claims that they are so innocent, Michigan has now self-imposed penalties twice. Now, Sharon Moore is suspended for games 3 and 4 of the season. And depending on who you listen to in the college football media space, Joel Klatt is one of the people that thinks there's going to be somewhat of a hammer swung against Michigan. As it stands now, recruiting may be affected, but I think the make or break punishment that a lot of people are considering is, will Michigan be banned from the postseason after all this? Because basically, Michigan cheated. That's always been true. The question has always been, what impact did that have? And personally, I never found anyone who could tell me a good answer to what. And obviously, you kind of had to be in the system. Probably you had to maybe be a part of Michigan or one of their opponents to truly know what was the impact of this. But I never really heard anyone give a really straightforward answer of here's how this helped them. Because at some level, we've talked about this at nauseam, but at some level, the Michigan players had to go out and actually run the ball and had to go physically do things to win games. But the more and more that this goes on, the NCAA seems like they are more willing to perhaps, again, swing the punishment hammer. But I'm curious what you guys think, because I still have my doubts. As a Buckeye fan, it's kind of fun to think about, but realistically, as a more neutral college football fan, which is what the hat I wear 95% of the time, I'm curious what you guys think.
I think the one thing we disagreed on was just when we said nothing. I think we were all like, nothing significant.
Sure.
So I think where I'm at this point is I would be shocked if it was a postseason ban.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Yep.
And if you listen to Joel Klatt, he gives a very good explanation of that and of just these again, who's actually running college football right now? It's the Big Ten, it's the SEC, and it's these TV executives.
Yep.
Fox News.
And they don't want one of their primary key products basically out of the picture and harmed. They don't want damaged goods. And so I would be surprised if they hit them that hard. Now, especially with this, Michigan doing this and their president leaving for Florida, which is pretty much objectively a worse job, just academically. Sorry, Florida Gator fans. But it's just true. that I'm expecting a huge fine. A huge fine. Like financial punishment is my expectation at this point. I'd be shocked if we're including postseason ban. I am in between, and I think it's kind of, for me, 50-50 on scholarship reduction. But even scholarship reduction in NIL era doesn't matter as much. But that would be interesting to see if you're reducing scholarships for the team. That would matter at some level. The other interesting point for me is, are they going to strip Michigan of wins? Because that has been actually what the NCAA's forte has been in the past. It's a very different landscape. We're not sure if that's going to happen, but that is definitely what they remember. They did that to USC. They did that to Ohio State, both certainly with those big punishments. If that were to happen, my expectation would be it would be games previous it coming out. So not necessarily the national title year, but the 2 years previously would be the ones under the most scrutiny to be removed as wins for Michigan. So that one wouldn't even totally shock me. I would be stunned, though, if we're talking a postseason ban. I also think if the NCAA has any guts at all, they're going to suspend Sharon Moore for 4 games and basically say, you're not picking the 2 games that you get to be suspended for. Because, just a reminder, they picked the 3rd and 4th game of the season, not the first 2. Because Sharon Moore played at Oklahoma. He wants to coach in the Oklahoma game. So, like, if you're a parent with kids, you don't really let the kid pick the punishment so that it's less severe. You know, if they're grounded and the fair's in town, they're still grounded. You know, you don't, oh, well, we'll ground you next weekend. No, like, sorry, like, you messed up. Like, that's how it works. So we already went into the whole, do we think it's cheating? Do we not? Right now, it's more, what is the punishment actually going to be? And the fact that Michigan went ahead and did this ahead of time tells you something like, oh, they think something's coming, which is why everybody's kind of changed their tune a little bit. The hearing will be June 6th and 7th, just so everybody's aware.
We'll have a watch party.
So,
don't worry.
Yeah, nothing's going to really come out before then, like an actual, like, this is what's happening, unless something's leaked. But that's the hearing. And if you're like, didn't Michigan already get punished for this? That was from the Big Ten and Michigan. So this is actually, because the NCAA works at glacial pace. This is the first time the NCAA is potentially handing out punishment.
Glacial pace feels like a great, like, post-rock ambient band.
Very good, Josh.
Kind of like a shoegaze.
That's good. Johnny, I agree. I mean, I don't really have any other thoughts other than what you said. I mean, I think it's fascinating. The fact that we're still talking about this in a way is like, come on, like, how? But that's just the NCAA for you, taking as long as humanly possible to do anything, which is one of the reasons why they've been, ironically, supplanted by the Big Ten and the SEC. So, because
they haven't done their job. They haven't.
No.
I mean, that's one of the key takeaways everybody should have. Is this is absurd because and listen, Michigan's not innocent in this, and Sharon Moore was there, and there's going to be staffers that were there for all of this, but most of the players will not have had anything to do with this by the time the punishment's handed down. And as much as I don't like Michigan, those players don't deserve this.
Exactly.
And that's not woe is Michigan as a program because you're guilty and you did this. That's more, this is ridiculous. I feel bad for the players because this is what the NCAA has always done. When Ohio State got their postseason ban, none of those players and coaches were there. And you punished people who weren't there. And that's not just an Ohio State or just a Michigan thing. That's been all their punishments that they've always done. They're punishing people who aren't even, like, they're not even there anymore. And that's not to say there shouldn't be a punishment. It's just the slow pace is insane. Because it's not professional. and the pros are quick. You know, like if they think you're tampering, you'll get a memo Monday morning. Like, hey, here's your fine. You know, so it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I will say this happens 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, Michigan's banned for the postseason for 2 or 3 years, without question,
Absolutely.
solely based on the amount of level 1 violations, and compare that to other programs that had similar or even less than. I mean, this would be, again, 10, 15 years ago, this would be almost unprecedented.
And it's the lying.
Yes.
That's what the
NCAA
NCAA
hates the
deleting the text messages, and everyone says there was nothing on them. They don't care. It's the fact that you tampered with evidence. And no, this isn't like the U.S. court system, but they still take a lot of the precedent and systems from that. And when they say you're being investigated, you're not supposed to do anything like that. And the NCAA does not look kindly upon those things. And that's something we know Sharon Moore did. Like, that's not speculative. So that's why we know he's getting suspended. I would be surprised if the NCAA doesn't suspend him for longer. Like, I'd be pretty surprised.
It could be first 4 games, to be honest.
Yeah. I think they are you kidding? You think you get to pick which 2 games get to be suspended for? Like, that won't, no way. No way that flies.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
After much soul searching, after looking at a map, I have come to the conclusion.
Okay.
It's the Cavs. The Cavs. My Cavs, Josh. That's who you have, right?
It's the Cavs. It's the Cavs over the Nuggets. Yes, you got me.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
It's not the Cavs.
The dream's still alive, Johnny.
Not
that Nuggets challenge is hanging on by a thread.
You know how many other teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit?
Not many. Doc Rivers isn't coaching on the other bench, Josh.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Well, this week in Picks of the Week, we're picking some NBA, and you're like, oh yeah, these guys are going to redo their NBA playoff predictions, which at this point are not looking great. And to that, I would say, no, we are not. Well, to that, I would say you're correct.
We're standing by it. You're correct. We're also owning that.
Yeah, we are owning that. But we're not. We're actually going to pick a couple things. The first thing we're going to do is something that's happening tonight, because it is the NBA draft lottery. So why not, just pick who we think is going to get the top pick in the draft. Now, there's a couple options out there. Well, sorry, you know what? I'm a little ahead of myself because we made some picks last week. There's your teaser. We're getting back to this. Last week, we picked Champions League. Johnny,
yes.
Naturally, the team that none of us picked is doing well.
Which I did say.
Yep, you did.
I said, my money is on Inter Milan, which, by the way, those were 2 of the most fabulous soccer games. If you just wanted an advertisement for people who don't really watch soccer to watch soccer, go back and watch Barcelona play Inter Milan in those 2 games. They're fabulous. But PSG also took out Arsenal, my team. Josh, I think you're the only one alive because you picked PSG. So you are still alive for the final. They will play Inter Milan. So it should be a fantastic final. Like, once again, it usually is. The Champions League, because of the format, usually lives up to expectations and the teams go all out for it. So I was sad to watch Arsenal go down. But the team that I kind of thought at the beginning of the knockout stage might win it is looking like they're in a good position. But PSG, year after you get rid of Kylian Mbappe, no more Neymar, no more Messi, and you get further in the Champions League than you ever did with them. So that's kind of a interesting storyline too.
Yeah, it certainly is. So because no points were scored yet, Josh, with the chance to add something here towards the end of the month, our current scoreboard still is myself with 9, Johnny with 8, Josh with 6. This is episode 17, meaning there's only 4 left in the season if you include this one. So points are at a premium. So maybe that's another good reason to pick 2 different things. So we'll pay off on the teas. Gentlemen, who do we think wins the NBA draft lottery? It's probably more funny to say who loses, but I'm going to say, and this is, by the way, the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. I'm going to say the Utah Jazz, because it just makes sense that a white dude from Duke would go play in Utah.
Really does.
Yeah.
It does make sense. And just for all of those, like, keeping track at home, like, it's a lottery, so all of these teams just have a slightly decreasing odds, but no one has a higher percentage than the Jazz, the Wizards, and the Hornets, who are the bottom 3 with 14% apiece. And I'm going to pick one of those teams. I am going to pick the Washington Wizards because it's time that a team in the East actually won the lottery.
True.
We need it.
Well, Atlanta did technically last year, but yeah.
Well, nobody wanted to win that one.
Fair enough.
It's like the Cavs winning the Anthony Bennett draft. It's like, ooh. But I think it's just time. Washington Wizards are just one of those cursed franchises, I feel like, in sports. And I think I'm also like doing something that I kind of hope happens. Like, I kind of hope he goes to the Hornets or hope he goes to the Wizards, just because they need that help. They just desperately need that help. And I think it would be more fun if it happens in the East. He'll get to the playoffs quicker. I think that's just more fascinating. The West is so loaded. I'm going to have to watch them try to build up over like 3 years to get to any kind of competitive stage.
I mean, like a Wemby.
Where, like,
yeah.
Right. If he goes to the Wizards or Jazz and he's, Wizards or Hornets, and he's as good as advertised, they could be in the play-in next year. Like, really, the East is that poor at 9 and 10. Like, they could definitely be in the play-in next year. So,
and they'll play Chicago in that game.
Yeah, probably. Or the Hawks.
Yeah, true.
The Hawks are always there too.
Yep. Usually playing one another.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who you got, Josh?
I think it'd be funny for Flag to go to the Hornets, and so I am picking funny option.
I mean, it is funny. Like, poor Cooper Flag if it goes to
Poor
the
guy.
Hornets.
This is the curse of being good. This is
Yeah, that's true.
We have these same discussions in
we say that though, Josh, and like, we're picking 3 of the highest odds. Well, we are picking the 3 highest odds.
Oh yeah, we just nailed it. Great job, guys.
Yeah, we picked the top 3 odds. But like, there's decent teams that technically have a chance. Like, you have like New Orleans and Philly and Brooklyn and San Antonio and Houston. I mean, Lord help us if San Antonio or Houston gets Cooper Flag in this draft, which it's very fascinating. And I think the draft's going on in between the 2 playoff games tonight, right? So definitely watch.
Yeah, the draft lottery is yes. Well, the Spurs also have 2 picks. So they've got technically probably a slightly better chance that one of their picks is like remarkably better. If it is, the conspiracies. Oh, the conspiracies. What
they have a
fun that
6% chance for the top pick.
Yeah.
Not insane.
No, not at all. I mean, the Pistons had the top chance like 3 or 4 years in a row and didn't even make the top 3 or something.
Right.
I mean, that was abysmal. But hey, look at us now. We're in Cancun. Okay, so we're also going to pick the which is where Johnny's heading soon. I'll greet his team. It's like, sorry, boys. The NCAA softball tournament kicks off on Friday, I believe. We just had selection Sunday. So we're going to pick the NCAA softball tourney, but there's a caveat in our picks. You're not allowed to pick Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma is the 2 seed notably, but Oklahoma has been so dominant that I think the odds were very high that the 3 of us would have maybe all picked Oklahoma. And if you're like, well, that's kind of crazy, you would all pick it. Just look at how Boston University's softball team responded when they saw on Selection Sunday that they drew Oklahoma. Just utter shock. A lot of surrender cobras before that game was even played. And I'm not even blaming Boston University. That is a perfectly legitimate reaction to playing Oklahoma in softball. Now, it is a double elimination tournament, so thankfully for Boston's sake and most teams that play Oklahoma, you do get to lose twice before you're out. Guys, I'm going to go with Arkansas, and it's because of how the SEC tournament unfolded this week. So Bree Ellis has the most home runs in softball. And I can't remember which team they were playing at the time, but this team walked her twice. She got hit by a pitch. She faced 10 pitches, didn't swing at a single one of them because they were deadly afraid of her ability. And then when the game was tied in the last inning, or one of the last innings, 1-1, bases loaded, nowhere to put her, this team had to pitch to Bree Ellis, and she just crushed a grand slam. It was awesome. It was all over TikTok. It was one of the rare instances in which using the Moneyball theme song was actually correct, because too many of you are using it for like the Yankees and the Dodgers and all that. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Even when Buckeye fans were doing it, I was like, well, this is kind of fun, but no, wrong.
Stockades.
Wrong. Yes, exactly. So for that reason, go Arkansas.
I'm going to lift my hatred of the Aggies and my suspicion of their cultic behavior temporarily, because the nicest people that I have met down here who happen to be Aggies are all fans specifically of their baseball and softball teams.
Okay.
I kind of love
And
that.
so I'm going to give them a boon. I'll
Nice.
take A&M. It
All
has
right.
nothing to do with the fact that they're the number 1 seed for
Right. For the first time ever. Number 1 overall seed.
the first time ever.
Yep.
I won't be banning my hatred for the SEC because I'm picking the Seminoles to win.
The
I thought
one
about UCLA.
SEC team that's not like hosting a regional.
Yeah.
Or the one non-SEC
So,
team, I should say.
Yeah, so I thought about UCLA and I'm like, no, probably not. So I'm going with the Seminoles. So also Florida State deserves something nice every once in a while. Things have been poor for them recently with a lot of their athletic teams. So let's go with the Seminoles.
All right. Very good.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
You get like 10 extra points per sport if you also fire a rifle at a target. Like for any and every
Just any
sport.
sport.
And you get sports.
LeBron
And
for
that- and that's-
three and then pulls out a rifle and shoots a target.
Yeah.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
Josh, I've
Only way
got
the
a
Cavs can
question
come
for
back.
you. Got a question for you.
I have an answer for
How
you.
much time would it take you to get to the Texas Rangers game that's happening in 1 hour?
Oh, in
Hour.
1 hour, it would take me from now about 1 hour to
Okay.
get there.
Well, perfect.
Because
Then
it is, in fact, 6 o'clock here as we're recording, and everybody has decided to get on the road and drive 3 miles an hour
nice. Well,
into each other.
yeah. So, well, Josh, we'll have you leave the show then, because we've got important homework for you to do. Because look, we've spent a disproportionate amount of time on this show talking about the White Sox, and I've
Are
loved
they
every
seriously
second of it. To be
playing
clear,
the insert team here right now?
yeah, yes, they are.
I'm
I've loved
going
every second
now.
of it, so
Oh
much
my
so that I'm
gosh, I'm
actually
going now.
going to watch the Reds play the White Sox tomorrow in Great American if the rain doesn't wash us away. But we've spent so much time on the White Sox and our good friend Andrew Benintendi, and apparently the Pope, that we have missed the plot on what's actually happening in baseball.
Yes. Oh, they're playing tomorrow. I might be able to go tomorrow.
And there you go. Because the Colorado Rockies, mind you, after a win yesterday, are 7-33. 7-33.
Is that bad?
That is on
What
pace
a great
for the
question.
worst record in Major League Baseball, which would break the record by 13 losses.
I mean, we're all cheering for this, right?
But I don't.
Right?
I don't know.
No, I don't hate the Rockies. I didn't hate the White Sox.
Well,
but
true.
if you're going to be bad, I want it to be historical.
Well, sure.
So I'm
but
cheering
the White
for
Sox
it.
being bad's funny. Is the Rockies being bad? Is that funny? I don't
not
know.
as funny.
No.
It's
Not
it's
as
just
funny.
not.
I hope the White Sox are just like, I hope it's like a battle down the stretch. Like, who's worse?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like there's relegation, even though there's not relegation. But I think there should be this year. I think if you break the record for worst worst record in baseball history 2 years in a row, you are relegated for
Agreed.
whoever wins the championship in AAA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess that could just be the Athletics because they're a AAA team at this point.
Stop.
Hey,
The Athletics are
They
21
beat
and
the
20. That is,
Rangers.
Johnny, until the Athletics have a worse record than the Reds, then I don't know. We can't say anything. We
You're not
can't
allowed to
say
Well, that's
a
an
dang
insult
thing.
to the owner and
Oh, I know.
all of that.
I
Not the
understand.
team.
It
I
is.
like the team. The players are fine.
I mean, what's the wild card right now? Are they in the playoffs if the season ended today? No, they're not. But they're a half game behind the Athletics. Straight to jail Reds for being 2 games under 500, yet 24 positive in the run differential category. By the way, speaking of run differential category, the Rockies are minus 128 through 40 games, which is basically on average, they're losing by 3 runs every single game. I know that's not how it works, but it kind of is how that works. I will say, while it is interesting to see history being made, if the Reds somehow put anything together ever, we kind of do need the Rockies to like occasionally beat the Dodgers, Padres, or Giants, because otherwise there's not going to be any wild card spots. Heck, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 21 and 20. The West is just going to have all of the wild card spots because they all get to play the Rockies 16 times or however many times they play now. Oh my gosh.
baseball's such a beautiful sport.
Yeah. If that's what you want to call the Rockies, Josh. Anyways, so if
Yes.
you do some homework, maybe Josh, I'll go to the Reds. I'll go to the
Pageantry.
Reds. I'll watch the White Sox. You go to the Rangers. You watch the Rockies, and we'll report back and see if our eyesight is still there by the time we're done.
Wait, if I went to a White Sox or Rockies game, would the inverse happen?
Ooh. Oh yeah,
Inverse
wait.
meaning
You
that
have
it's the
such
best
bad luck
baseball
with
you've ever
going to
seen?
games. Yeah, it's gonna
Aaron, how
be
many
a
games are the White
shootout.
Sox playing the Reds? They're
Just
playing Tuesday when
3,
you
I
go.
think. Yeah,
They're going Wednesday and Thursday.
I
Man,
believe
maybe
so.
I'll try to get down there. It's the true test of how cursed I am.
Well, you can go on Wednesday
Like-
for Pete Rose Day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See how cursed I am. Because if the White Sox win that game, I maybe should never go back.
I mean, that's my concern tomorrow. Yeah.
There's some danger. Not as much danger as lying about the Pope. Yeah, that's my segue, guys. For once, my 2 worlds have collided. Religion and sports. Because if you weren't aware, this past Thursday at about, I don't know, 12:30, 1 p.m. Central Time, about 7 o'clock Italy time, we got a new Pope. The movie Conclave happened in real life, and Robert Prevost, now known as Pope Leo the 14th, I believe, has been, I don't want to say inaugurated, named, white smoked as
Yes.
the new head of the Catholic Church. And I'm not opposed. I have my Vatican II, copy of Vatican II. I have my Catholic ethics book right here.
Are there memes in any of those books?
I got a no. I've checked all of these.
Okay.
Actually, all of these are books I've purchased since. Hold on, actually,
Okay.
City Confessions by Augustine. There's a chance there's a meme in here.
John,
Nope, it's
some of
clean.
Johnny and I's finest work.
Yes. This one I bought down here. This one is clean. This one, yeah. Everything else I've gotten down here. So, meh, you don't get any more memes. Although I'm scared because there's a few books I still haven't opened. But I got lots of Catholic books. All right. I'm not Catholic, but I got Catholic books. All right, just in case someone has a question, or in case the Pope is from Chicago, which now is finally my area of expertise. And I do know a little bit, since I did pull up my Catholic ethics book. A lot of Catholics are against a little thing called lying. In the Bible, it's called bearing false witness. Lying is also used in there. And Cubs did a big lie. Because the day that Pope Leo was announced, May 8th, at 3:14 p.m., Chicago Cubs, @Cubs on Twitter, did tweet out, congratulations to Pope Leo the 14th. They posted along with that a picture of the Wrigley Field sign. And in there, they had, looks like they photoshopped in, hey, Chicago, he's a Cubs fan. Robert Prevost, being born and raised in Chicago, went to Villanova. Secondly, just real quick side note, what a generational fumble by Notre Dame. This is like the Catholic college, and you lose to the Big East. Like this is why you join a conference. Anyway, they published, hey, Chicago, he's a Cubs fan. Within the hour, multiple reputable news sources talked to Robert's brother down in Florida, who said, no, I don't know why everyone is saying that. Born and raised a Sox fan.
Love it.
Within another hour, news companies and journalists were able to find, I think at this point he was a Cardinal, Provost at the 2004 White Sox World Series in videos.
I mean, it's just lovely.
It's
To have
beautiful.
that evidence, I mean, he's
That
there.
He's there. And since that lie, which I just pulled up, I was like, oh, maybe they deleted the tweet. They didn't. The tweet is still up. They are 1-2 since.
Why haven't they deleted
Cubs.
the tweet?
They haven't deleted the tweet. Hey, Chicago, he's a Cubs fan. You can check it right now.
Maybe
I
they're
don't have to-
owning the lie. They're just
Maybe they're
owning
owning
it.
the lie. Let me go back to their. I mean, I'm going to go.
They
but
don't want to
have
erase
not-
the lie.
Yeah, they're not. They're owning that. They won. They beat them. They beat the Mets 6-5 on Saturday. That's their only win. Every other time they've lost, and I think they lost the series technically. Yeah, they basically took a game on what essentially is a garbage time win. So I don't even count that. They're hosting the Marlins tonight, as part of their 3-game series.
Okay.
First pitch in about 25 minutes. So there's a chance that the Cubs are generationally cursed yet again. This
I hope so.
time for lying about saying the Pope likes them.
I hope so. I hope you're right, Josh. That would help our Reds out too.
Be really, really funny. Seeing the Cubs lose, and I think the same day that the Cubs lost to the Mets, 7-2. This would have been Friday, the day after they lied. Believe that same day Cardinals won, and so just again generational curse here. This is Beauty and the Beast levels of like. You lied about the Pope. They've only had I'm going to say they've had a few hundred popes. I think it's like 270 odd popes. But over 2,000 years. You can't lie about a 2,000-year-old institution. This is
Double
going to
sin,
hurt.
Josh. Perhaps a double sin.
Perhaps a double sin.
Perhaps
We
a
don't really
double
have
sin.
that. Double jeopardy doesn't apply in the Bible. I don't. Don't quote me on that. Please don't quote me on that. Please don't. Please
Quote
don't
it.
at me.
Quoted.
Clip it.
Very
I'm
good,
gonna have to
Josh.
check the Catholic ethics book again.
Yeah.
I don't know. But man, so just follow that. I'm gonna be following 2 things: 1, Benintendi's home runs, and 2, Cubs curse watch.
That's good.
I love it. I love it. What I'm following is loosely related to the draft because it might where Giannis Antetokounmpo. Gosh, I butchered that. I knew I was going to try though.
Yeah,
He
I
has
respect you for it.
Proud of you for
basically
trying.
said that he is open to looking at other landing spots and being traded from Milwaukee. If you're familiar, like Dame Lillard, he popped his Achilles this postseason. He struggled to be healthy anyway. That team has gotten old so fast. They have a lot of bad contracts. They don't have any of their first round picks, I believe, for the next 6 years. So because of that, there's no real way, there's no assets for the Bucks to get better. They don't want to trade Giannis. Giannis might even prefer to stay in Milwaukee, but he wants to win. And there's really no path to winning anytime soon in Milwaukee. So most likely this summer, Giannis is going to be traded. Why the draft matters, of course, is who gets Cooper Flagg might be interested, Or there are other very good, talented players beyond Cooper Flag this year as well. Even without Cooper Flag, this is seen as a much better draft than last year. So what has been fun today is there's so many teams speculating. Because of everything I just said about Milwaukee, though, they're going to be looking for draft assets, a lot of first-round picks just to get some back to rebuild, and good, talented young players. Number one teams, the top two teams that really come to mind right off the bat, San Antonio and Houston. A lot of good young players, a lot of draft assets. A team that has a ton of draft assets and actually a lot of players too, Oklahoma City actually also has, just because they also have, and the one unique thing about Oklahoma City, because a lot of times people trade their first round picks and you're like, well, but like they're going to be good now. So like, are those first round picks like really worth that much? Oklahoma City has a lot of first round picks that aren't theirs. So they could trade first round picks that are not theirs that they've accumulated over the years to Milwaukee as well. That might be seen as more valuable. So that's one's interesting. However, the one that I'm really interested in, and I don't even know how possible this is, but because of how horrible last night went, I was thinking through what would the Cavs have to give up to make it work for Giannis. And so I'm talking about, because that's a physical presence. That if there's one thing you know about Giannis, he's that. So I'm talking about. So I want to run it by you two. If I'm insane, if this is even like, if you were Milwaukee, would you think about this? 3 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, Jared Allen, Garland, and Ty Jerome. Would you think about it?
Just Garland and then a 2029 first round.
Oh, okay. I see Josh is taking off of after his favorite Dallas GM.
He's getting fat, I think.
One first round.
I don't know. I don't watch the sport. I just
but instead
know.
of Darius Garland,
don't.
it's Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I still don't think the Cavs could even do that because of the money. I don't even think the money would match like for them to do a first round and just like Darius Garland. But I'm saying if I was the Cavs, I'd do that in a heartbeat. But if you were the Milwaukee Bucks, would you do that? Am I in the ballpark?
I think so. Because
that seems fair. Which is why I countered with something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you said it, Johnny. The other piece of this is that Milwaukee is all of a sudden very rapidly from that NBA Finals team very old. Maybe not even in terms of age, although I think if I'll NBA reference this just to see, even if they're not like technically old, they're old. They're injured. Brook Lopez, like at this point, what is he going to do for you on a champ? Like, and no disrespect, like he's had a great career. He's an NBA Finals winner. At this point, what is he doing for you? At this point, I mean, maybe a Bobby Portis is good just because he's like beloved. And like, if you got rid of Bobby Portis, like would Milwaukee just riot? I don't know. But I also think that they're very well, it's obvious to all, including Bucks fans, that Giannis, as good as he has been, which has been an MVP caliber player, the roster is just not there around him. There's been some swings and misses, not necessarily for lack of trying. Like the Bucks have tried. The Bucks tried. They thought that, maybe grab a Kyle Kuzma, which, okay, that was probably not the best example because that was going to not work in any scenario. But, at least you tried though, right? Like you got rid of Chris Middleton, an aging player who also couldn't stay healthy. Like you at least tried. It didn't work. I mean, it did work. You got an NBA Finals. You take that any day of the week. But more recently, it has not worked. So I think whatever the best deal on the table is, I think if you're the Bucks, I just don't know if that championship window is open anymore because those just do not stay open long at all. So I don't know. I mean, that's
what I'm hearing is
I think
you guys are saying Cavs for sure, for sure, Cleveland,
and which is a fascinating thing just to see. Like I don't know. Again, depends on who's in that trade, but if you get Evan Mobley and Giannis on the court at the same time, like. What does that look like? That's fascinating because then Evan can pop out a little bit more. Like he doesn't shoot a terrible 3-ball, and like Giannis has at least figured out, hey, I'm not going to shoot a 3. That's actually been way better. His mid-range has improved. Like from a just pure X's and O's standpoint, that is a fascinating Fascinating matchup with the shooters
I mean,
that
starting five,
Cleveland has as well.
hypothetical,
Yeah.
Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell, Hunter as your 3, Mobley, and Giannis. Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty lethal starting 5.
Mhm.
Like, I love that just like every single team in the NBA right now is trying to do the math.
Right.
Like, it's just how is this feasible? Can we do this? Aaron, I know like even the Pistons, like they're trying to Pistons fans, I'm not saying every front office is trying to, although I feel like every front office probably at least puts it through the, trade machine once just to, what would it take? But every fan base is like, how is this feasible? What would we have to give up to get Giannis? Because he's that good. I just love that. It'll be fun.
He is that good. Gentlemen, I've got breaking picks of the week news.
Ooh.
The Washington Wizards will be selecting number 6 in the NBA draft.
No.
Oh, and the Hornet.
No.
And the Charlotte Hornets will be selecting not number 1 based on this sad image of a child wearing a Charlotte Hornets hat that they just said. I need to just pull this up live, I guess. Anyways,
is this the first time we've done a live update to pick of the week?
It's happening like literally right now.
Are the Spurs going to win
Where's
this
the
draft
Gamecast of
lottery?
this?
Because that is just absolutely ridiculous.
I want quad view.
Yeah.
Like just for the 3 teams who are highest odds in the Spurs.
I'm trying to pull it up live, but it's going to make a ton of sound on stream. Whatever. You guys already who are listening on the podcast already know what's happening here anyway, so I'll just leave it alone. But
yeah, you by the time you're listening to this, you would have watched.
Yep. Is the NBA like live tweeting this? I need someone.
Where's Shams at?
Yeah.
It's the Mavs.
Is it really?
It's the Mavs.
Number 1?
Number 1 just locked. Yahoo Sports.
What?
Just now from Yahoo Sports.
No way.
Nico is laughing somewhere.
And the Spurs got the second pick. This is so rigged, dude. The Spurs got the second pick. The fact that the Mavericks got number 1 is insane.
1.8% pre-lottery chance.
Let the conspiracy theories flow through you, man.
Where are my sunglasses?
Because everybody was saying that it was a conspiracy, like that they sent like Doncic to, the Lakers for a bag of peanuts and Anthony Davis.
That's unbelievable. Because if you're a conspiracy theorist, this is your best day, because not only did the Mavericks get the first pick, the Spurs get the second pick. Now, this isn't even that crazy because they were this bad, but the 76ers, who had been a good team, got the third pick. And then your teams that desperately needed it, looking at you, Hornets, Jazz, Nets, Raptors, Trailblazers, are nowhere in the top 5. Well, the Jazz are number 5, but that's it. Like, that's crazy. Josh, you got the closest, but that's insane.
That's stupid. I love it. What a glorious, stupid sport.
Yep. Well, you know what?
Thank you, Adam Silver, for making me laugh once this season.
Hey, I mean, his job's saved. Nico's job might have literally just been saved.
I'll take the conspiracy now because, yeah, absolutely. The joke was we need a generational talent. Congratulations.
Oh, my goodness.
You lucked into it. Oh, what were their odds?
1.8%.
Oh, my gosh. I need video. I need video of the ping pong ball or the envelope. I want to see.
I'm going to Twitter. Someone's ripped this already on Twitter, I'm sure.
That's crazy. Well,
what a way to leave the fans.
Yeah, Chris Vanini is confirming. Dallas, Texas is confirming. I don't have any video yet, but now amazing. Also, Nico's not out of the water yet because he doesn't have to pick Cooper Flagg.
True. He could also trade this pick for someone.
There's a good chance he's going to trade it for a 2032 second round pick.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like him and Anthony
like
Davis play too similar of a position to one another. That's probably not.
That's
gonna work
really
out,
fair.
so.
We're building around a Twiggs, so we do have to be We do gotta be. I don't know. Yeah, what's I gotta see Flag's defensive stats
Pretty good.
to see if they're good enough. Pretty good. May not cut it because we need to win championships. Remember.
Oh my! All right,
Good,
well,
don't cut it in this defensive heavy league that we're trying to play in.
that's Josh. There's no better way to end the show than with that. So
What a dumb bombshell.
wow, this is great. I am so excited. This is going to be such a fun few weeks until the actual NBA draft. We can see if Dallas does something silly with their number 1 overall pick. I think they'll get that right at least. Listeners, viewers, thanks for being here. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for the love on YouTube, especially this week. As we continue the climb to filling an entire football stadium with subscribers, we're getting closer and closer. So we appreciate you guys. We will talk to you all next week. Enjoy the NFL, apparently, although the schedule does get released this week. And then the NBA, NHL, whatever you're watching. I hope it's good. We'll see you next time.